Good afternoon. My name is Justin Connie, and I'll be the moderator for this session titled Thinking Outside the BoodleBox, Customizing Bots for Curriculum Mapping. Before we begin, we have a few reminders. We have a code of conduct, which I'll post in the chat here in a second. It includes an email if you have any questions or concerns. Please make sure your microphone is muted. During the Q&A, which will happen at the end, we invite you to unmute once you're called on. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to use the chat. This session is being recorded. You can enable captions by clicking on the Show Captions button at the bottom of the screen. It is my pleasure to introduce Lauren, Lori, Jennifer, and Erin. Lauren Dodd is the Associate Director for Curriculum and Academic Engagement at the United States Military Academy Library in West Point, New York, where she oversees a team of instruction librarians and libraries' information literacy program. Lori Mullooly is the Curriculum and Instruction Design Librarian. Jennifer Chess is the Curriculum and Instructional Design Librarian. Erin Tolman is the Instructional Design Librarian, and they are all part of the USMA Library, where they are the team responsible for design of information literacy lesson plans and digital learning objects, to include creation of the library's online generative AI course for USMA cadets and faculty. Please join me in welcoming Lauren, Lori, Jennifer, and Erin.
Thank you very much. Jen, will you go ahead and slide? It is not working.
Do you want to try unsharing your screen and sharing one more time, see if that would work?
Technical difficulties.
How about that? Can you see that?
We can see it. Can you
I need to here we go. Let's see if I can move the slides now. Oh goodness. Okay. Give me 1 second. Bear with me. Sorry guys. I'm gonna stop sharing.
Sure, everybody needs a couple of minutes to catch their breath from the last session anyway, whatever that session may have been for them.
Okay. Really having some pretty significant technical difficulties. Here we go. Let's see if I can get this.
We promise we did all the tech checks. We're just having some
right?
Interesting issue.
Okay, let's try sharing this way. Okay, tell me. Nope. Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so we'll skip past this part because he just said who we are. Although I do want to note our disclaimer that anything we say represents us and our viewpoint and not the Department of Defense or the Army. We have to say that whenever we speak publicly. Yes, thank you all for your patience. So to add on to the introduction from Justin, which was very lovely, I'm also currently serving as our interim director of libraries and archives. And so we have our hands full right now, but I wanted to provide a little bit of context for our library and this project. Here's our roadmap for today. I'll mention USMA's curricular context and how we fit within that, touch on the creation of our AI literacy framework, and we'll talk about our curriculum mapping bot, of course, bot development, analysis, and iteration, and then our future directions. Next slide. So this picture is at West Point. The building behind the cadets is actually the library that we are sitting in right now as we talk to you. It's very exciting, beautiful place. For those of you who are not familiar with West Point, our student body consists of approximately 4,400 cadets who receive a fairly traditional, regionally accredited undergraduate education, but they also happen to commission into the Army as second lieutenants when they graduate. It's exactly the same as your standard college experience. The curriculum is highly structured, and the core curriculum consists of many classes that all cadets must take. Each course has an assigned course director who provides structure and guidance for the course, including shared learning outcomes, major assignments, etc. Thus, creating an overarching curriculum map for our instruction has been a strategic initiative of ours for a few years now, but we've had a variety of fits and starts and have made limited progress on that front. And a little bit about our library context. We are Title V federal employees. We are considered staff and not faculty. And like many academic libraries of late, we have transitioned away from a subject / department liaison model. And we have been working over the last year to prioritize and somewhat standardize our instructional efforts and kind of rebuild how we do our instruction program. This is partially due to staffing cuts and just overall pivots. We're fortunate to partner with our EN 101 class, which is a first semester composition class, to provide a one-shot information literacy instruction session for all cadets in their first semester of their time at the academy. And we consider this to be the foundation of our efforts, where we start to build upon the information literacy curriculum and where we can scaffold our instruction throughout. So as I mentioned a little bit, last summer, we went through a reorganization specifically to build a more intentional instruction program, but also to address the impact of generative AI efforts at our institution. Academy leadership made it very clear from the beginning of this technology coming down that it is here to stay. We are going to move with it. We're going to learn it. Cadets are going to engage with it. And so our former library director recognized that all of our instructional efforts needed to address the responsible use of generative AI. So my team, when I'm not overseeing the whole library, is academic engagement and consists of the primary library instruction team. Given Lori and Jen and Erin's new roles as curriculum and instructional design librarians, they took the lead in the creation of our digital learning objects and instruction to address AI literacy. So additionally, our small team was accepted into the inaugural American Association of College and Universities Institute on AI Pedagogy and the Curriculum. Next slide, Jen. I said all of the words out loud in case anybody didn't know what AAC&U was. I want to mention this, the AI Institute, because our participation served as a catalyst to further both our AI and information literacy initiatives. And I don't think we would be where we are had we not participated in this institute. So institute teams were paired with faculty mentors with expertise in AI. Faculty that you may have heard of include Jose Bowen, Edward Watson. I think most of you know who Leo Lowe is. He was not our mentor. We don't know why. We're a little salty. Brian Alexander, Mark Watkins. And we specifically had to develop an AI action plan for our unique context. This was not a one-size-fits-all effort. This is within the team structure, within the goals of the institution. What is your action plan for implementing AI in your context? So this offered us some guidance and accountability along the way. And alongside our director, we determined we would craft an AI literacy framework specific to our institution's needs, such as the need to specifically address misinformation and disinformation in the context of national security. We would also renew our curriculum mapping efforts with AI literacy principles now included. Our director also strongly believed that we should utilize Gen AI tools as much as possible for this project, not only to streamline our efforts, but also to test the capabilities of the Gen AI tools and deepen our understanding of the tools' strengths and limitations. So as participants in the Institute, we did receive trial subscriptions to the paid version of BoodleBox. disclaimer that probably I should have said at the beginning, and in addition to our first disclaimer, this is not an ad for BoodleBox. They are not paying us to be here. We are not advocating for this tool over any other. This just happened to be the tool that helped us advance our efforts, and it culminated in a really interesting way for us. So around the time we joined the Institute, the Academy's AI task force showed a deep interest in procuring BoodleBox. It was kind of almost like around the same time. So we had extra incentive to learn everything we could about it and utilize it for our project. It is uniquely suited for collaboration, and it brings together multiple AI models, custom bots, knowledge banks, also provides a layer of privacy for group licenses. So you can use a tool like ChatGPT-4, and unlike if you have a paid subscription directly to ChatGPT-4, it doesn't know who you are or anything. It just knows random USMA user number 300 is doing a chat with ChatGPT through Boodle. It also doesn't train its models using our data. So we used multiple custom bots within Boodle, including a built-in information literacy instructor bot that already existed within Boodle to help us map AI literacy knowledge practices and dispositions to the already existing ACRL framework for information literacy. We did not want to completely reinvent the wheel. We know there are a variety of frameworks out there, and people were developing them around the same time we were developing ours. We just thought we want to stick to the framework we're already using, but add in some augmentation for our particular situation. So Jen, go ahead with the next slide. So this is just, we have links to this. There's a link we're going to keep dropping in the chat and mentioning on the LibGuide that we created with some of our materials. This framework is linked. So again, you'll notice that we have the framework itself, but then we have some additional specific to us knowledge practices or dispositions, such as identify biases in AI outputs by comparing them with authoritative sources in military and national security domains. That's kind of a pretty big deal for our institution. So this is what we're talking about when we say kind of augmenting the framework for our context. So we really found this to be a very successful endeavor. As the human subject matter experts, so we used AI to create this, and then we decided on the specific language as humans in in-person meetings. And because we found that to be such an easy process, it maybe left us feeling a little bit smug about what we might be able to use AI for, including the curriculum mapping portion. So we began the process of creating prompts that we thought, okay, we have our framework, we have these practices, let's all just figure out which prompts we can use to start the curriculum mapping. The team will attest to their blood, sweat, and tears and their cries of frustration as they realized that this was not working out so well. And, you know, they even said, maybe we should just save our time and give up on this portion. And we said, our director encouraged us, keep trying a little bit longer, see what happens. We're trying to learn the failures of this tool as well. And then right around that time, Boodle released a brand new feature of bot building. And so the team then fell down a rabbit hole that has taught us more about Gen AI than we ever thought possible, also set us up on a path to move our curricular efforts forward. So I will turn that part over to the team, and specifically Lori.
Lauren, thank you. Jen, next slide. So we wanted to show you how BoodleBox looks and also highlight some of the features of BoodleBox. And for those who are new to BoodleBox or unfamiliar, BoodleBox is a powerful AI collaboration platform that brings together multiple AI models, custom bots, and knowledge management into one seamless environment. Users can use BoodleBox for free and without a paid subscription. Users can also use up to 5 Pro messages per day. And those Pro messages will provide access to most of the features I'll be covering here in this presentation. Next slide, Jen. So here is a look at the main chat interface in BoodleBox. And as you can see, it looks similar to many other LLMs that you have most likely used. But there are some features I would like to point out that made this platform ideal for this particular project. And the first would be the integrated knowledge management system. So BoodleBox lets you permanently store all of your documents in a dedicated knowledge library. These documents become part of its knowledge base. So we uploaded important documents like our augmented ACRL framework and syllabi, and our bot then can pull specific information from these trusted sources when answering our questions, making our responses more accurate and relevant to our institution's actual materials, rather just relying on its general training data. So this means no more repetitive uploads. For example, we added our relevant documents once, and our bot can access them at any time. The next feature I'd like to point out is the ability to stack bots. The platform allows multiple specialized bots to collaborate within a single conversation. So you might have seen that I started that chat being in Claude 3.7, but when you click down on that drop-down caret, you can change to any number of bots in the same conversation. You can go from Gemini to Perplexity and back again. The next thing I'd like to point out is the collaborative features, which we really did utilize. BoodleBox enables multiple team members to work with the same bot simultaneously. So our entire team can work with the same bot concurrently, reviewing results, refining approaches, and sharing insights in real time. And then finally, I wanted to show you the bot builder, which I'll get into a little bit further, but this is BoodleBox's guided tool for creating custom bots without any of us needing deep technical skills. It walks you through defining your bot's purpose, personality, and knowledge base in simple steps. It was like having an AI development coach that turns your ideas into working bots. Next slide. So here I just want to outline the decisions we made that led us to building this custom bot. And we started with an initial mapping approach. We started our mapping journey with core courses, trying to tackle both knowledge practices and dispositions at once, before expanding to departmental syllabi, where we really got to see how the framework elements showed up across our curriculum. Then there were early changes and adjustments. We quickly realized early on that the plan was hitting roadblocks. This was inconsistent syllabus formats, confusing terminology differences, and we were trying to map too many framework elements at once. So we simplified our approach by mapping one frame at a time and beginning with just the knowledge practices, which established a clearer methodology than our initially more ambitious plan. And then we refined our methodology. We created a smart workflow using AI tools to rate how well course objectives matched up with framework knowledge practices. And we used a simple strong, moderate, weak system to make sure we got it right. We had 2 different AI bots independently evaluate each alignment, and we had them provide their reasoning. So for this, we went with Claude 3.7 and ChatGPT 4.0 for Omni. When both bots agreed on a strong rating, we included it in our final report, saving us countless hours compared to the frame-by-frame manual mapping we originally thought we would have to do. And once this workflow was decided upon, we began to do this through a series of very long sessions of chats back and forth and back and forth. And here is where the curricular mapping using these tools really began. So then it was on to automated development. We had our workflow down, but was it time to actually build a bot? And after realizing how time-consuming our manual processes would be, we decided that yes, it was time to build a specialized curriculum mapping bot in BoodleBox, using their bot builder bot to guide us through creating a custom bot to perform this guided workflow, which completely transformed our efficiency. I do want to say, I feel that one key to our success was doing the strategic planning before even touching the bot builder. We had already determined what the bot needed to accomplish, which frameworks to reference, which mapping tools to use. Having this clarity up front made the actual bot creation process remarkably efficient. Next slide, Jen. And for those who've never built a bot or are considering building one, I wanted to further explain why we decided to invest the time to build a custom bot for this particular curricular mapping project. And the first was consistency and standardization. Our bot applies the exact same standards to every syllabus, eliminating the variability that happens when different librarians analyze different courses. The second is knowledge retention and special focus. All our mapping expertise was captured in one bot, so we won't lose institutional knowledge, for example, if a staff member leaves the team. The next was workflow efficiency. What would take a librarian hours to analyze manually can now be completed by our bot in minutes, and this is freeing up our team for higher value work. Next is quality control. Our bot applies the exact same standards to every syllabus, and unlike humans who might be stricter after coffee or more lenient after lunch, it's like having our most consistent team member working 24/7. But really, the big one is scalability. That's why I put that star on there. And now that our bot is built, it can analyze hundreds of syllabi without getting tired or needing a break, making this institution-wide mapping project actually feasible. Next slide, Jen. So when it came time to build a bot, we leveraged this bot builder bot, which you can see on this slide. And I just want to be clear, and I acknowledge that this is a little bit meta, but there's two things going on here, okay? There is the bot builder bot, and that is an AI assistant that guides you through bot creation process with suggestions and feedback. While the actual bot builder is the interface tool where you can build your actual bot in BoodleBox. So this bot builder bot provides a straightforward interface where you define your custom bot's purpose, personality, and knowledge base through a series of input fields. So you provide the details about what you want your bot to know and how it should respond to different queries. And once you've completed these specifications, bot builder bot converts your inputs into prompts. The prompts you can then use to build your custom bot. So here you can see a sample prompt that I plugged into Bot Builder Bot last night. I just kind of threw that up there. Next slide, Jen. And here you can see the response that the Bot Builder Bot generated to my query. So this is language that can be used when it's time to build an actual bot. And as you can see, it came up with a bot profile and core functions and various responses. This response was much, much, much longer. Next slide. So this is a look at what we did in an actual bot builder. And this is how the Useful Libraries curriculum mapping bot looks under the hood. You can see we had to develop language about the bot's expertise and role, core capabilities, and importantly, the bot's workflow. This is where you give the bot exact and extensive directions on exactly what to do, when to do it, and which tool to use. And you'll note that we've also attached some knowledge to this bot. You can see the Frame 1 knowledge practices are there on the right. And you can actually test this bot in real time while you're building these bots. Next slide. When building a bot, you will also need to decide language for additional settings, such as the bot description and the greeting. And the greeting is the first language your user will see when they're interacting with your bot. Okay, so at this point in the process, we've created a bot that automatically analyzes course learning outcomes and guides users through mapping them to information literacy standards. We began to process all of our core course objectives and recorded outputs in a series of many Excel sheets. At this point, it was time to compare the human versus the bot results and to check for accuracy. And for that step, I will hand it over to my colleague, Jen Chess.
Thanks, Lori. So we built this amazing bot. We spent all of this time and effort trying to figure out bot building. And after a lot of experimentation and hard work, we ended up with something that we thought would do what we wanted it to do. But then we needed to take some time and figure out if it, in fact, actually worked. We had 3 questions about the bot that we wanted answered, and we knew that we needed to do some testing to find the answers to those 3 questions before we could feel confident to go forward using this bot. The first question we had was whether or not the bot works similarly to a human. The second question we had was at what point does the bot stop working consistently? And the third question we had was about what trends the bot could show us. So for our first question, we wanted to know how the bot compared to a human in terms of curricular mapping. Erin, Lori, and I decided to all take one class and manually map the syllabus to the framework's knowledge practices. Once that was completed, we compared it to the knowledge practices that the bot determined were aligned with the syllabus of the same class. And as you can see, there is a consistent, systematic pattern across all of the frames in regards to our responses. The bot's responses were generally very similar to Erin, Lori, and my responses. For example, look at frame 1, which is the dark line at the bottom of the graph. The connected points create an almost flat, straight line. This shows a strong agreement between the bot and the three of us who manually mapped the syllabus. You can also look at frame 6, which is the green line at the top. Yes, there is a larger difference between data points, but if you were to draw a line between the lowest and highest values, you'd see a gently sloping line. Just like frame 1, this also shows agreement. If the line was sharply sloped between the lowest and highest values, then you could interpret that there is a larger disparity between the bot and the humans, showing less agreement and similarity in the results. We learned from our initial experimentation that the bot could not run all 6 frame alignments within a single chat. By the 3rd or 4th frame, the responses became odd because the bot reached its context window. The responses were inconsistent. It would skip steps, omit some of the knowledge practices, or even just stop providing responses. So we knew that there was a point in the chat where the bot would no longer be effective. But having the bot perform at a consistent level and behave in a specific manner each time is an important key to our overall curriculum mapping goals. So we wanted to determine how well we could expect the bot to perform at scale. To do this, Erin ran the same learning objectives of a single course through the bot 20 times. Now, we did put the parameter on that she started a new chat after every frame, since we already knew it couldn't complete all 6 frame alignments in a single chat. And here are our results. Generally, for a normal distribution, you want the data points to emulate a gentle, symmetric curve or hill. You can see here that there were instances where the bot performed inconsistently. Those instances created the wonky ends to the hills. However, only about 5% of the time did that happen, which is considered statistically insignificant. So we consider this an acceptable margin of error. Our third question was about trends. We ran all of the learning objectives for all of the core courses through the bot. And we had all this data. But if you look at the data from a micro scale, there's so much of it that the minutia is just not useful. However, if you look at it from a very macro or large scale, we're hoping that this bot can help us identify trends that we can then start to dig into more. For example, we want the data to help us identify which core courses are high value in that they have exceptionally high rates of knowledge practice alignment, because those courses then should be the ones we focus on. Conversely, the courses that don't align with very many knowledge practices are ones that we shouldn't focus on. Knowing which frames more strongly align with a particular course could also help us decide where that course might fit into our overall information literacy goals, or even help make decisions on lesson planning. We want to be able to take the data from the bot and our real-world experiences and blend them together into something that we can use to make smart, strategic, data-informed decisions going forward. And this is where we really ran into some hiccups. So this graph shows a general normal distribution across all of the courses, meaning they all sort of fall into the same category. But when we're thinking about which courses we should be focusing our efforts on, we really want to be looking for outliers that fall all the way to the right, since those courses should, in theory, align with far more knowledge practices across the framework than other courses. When we looked at this data, quite frankly, I was a little disappointed because there was no clear outliers that could help us identify courses to focus on. EN 101, as Lauren mentioned, is a course where we have deep roots. It is a first-year course, and almost all students take it first semester freshman year. Through strong relationship building and teaching efforts, we teach a foundational research class in every single EN 101 class. This really sets the students up for success. Courses HI 101, HI 302, HI 108, and HI 105 are typically taken in the first 2 years and all have a graded research paper. While we don't have the same universal instruction model as we do with EN 101, we regularly teach in these classes. We know that these courses are high-value courses where we should be focusing most of our efforts. However, we can see here that they all fall in the middle of the curve, meaning they're just part of the pack, rather than located at the far right of the curve as a significant outlier, meaning that they're leaders, because we know that they are. So I went and talked to my friend who's a faculty member in the math department and asked her if she could look at what I'd done to see if I was really off base or if I had somehow interpreted the data wrong. After some discussion, we did come to a conclusion. So this image is a very good illustration of a large-scale look at how the bot aligned knowledge practices to all of the courses. Each column is a course, and each beautifully colored box represents where at least one of the course's learning objectives aligned with one of the 60 some odd knowledge practices across the 6 frames. And you can see here that there is a beautiful rainbow of colors with a disproportionately small number of white boxes. The majority of the time, the bot could justify aligning at least one of the course's learning objectives with most of the knowledge practices. We determined that the bot was just not judicious enough at determining knowledge practice alignments. The bot didn't have enough parameters built into it for it to align with only 1 or 2 knowledge practices. Now, we'd already determined that the bot works similar to a human. And this is one of the challenges that I had also found when mapping knowledge practices to the course. It was easy to justify just about any knowledge practice, but far more difficult to rein myself in. In fact, rather than have the bot perform similar to a human, we actually want the bot to be much more judicious and also weigh factors like whether or not a graded research assignment is included as part of the class. With this information in hand, we decided that we needed to do an overhaul of the bot to bake some more components into it, which Erin will now discuss.
Thanks, Jen. So the frame aligner bot was what came out of our curriculum mapping bot experience. And what we wanted to do is really create something that was more tailored to our new understanding of what we wanted the bot to do, which was really focus on those strong alignments and reduce certain types of justifications. So through our testing, we figured out that the bot's main limitation was that it just generated just an excessive amount of alignments. And then certain classes received even more than we thought were practical or useful. And so we needed a solution that was going to really dial back on alignments, especially in math and science, and really enhance and look for those connections in English, history, and the social sciences. That way it would be more balanced and I think better reflect the actual distribution of information literacy across the curriculum. So we experimented using math to try to give some weight to those extra classes that had the writing or research assignments. But doing that math actually distorted the data of the bot so much that it was not really recognizable. And so we were trying to come up with another way to account for those sorts of things. In addition, the curriculum mapping bot was connecting with some subject-specific information and content rather than focusing on those information literacy skills that were embedded in those learning outcomes. I don't want to get too much into the weeds, and I typed this out because it can sound a little confusing, but just here's an example. So was analyzing Chemistry 101, and one of its learning outcomes, and the bot linked to Frame 6, Knowledge Practice 7, which is to use different types of searching language like control vocabulary, keywords, natural language, iterative AI prompts appropriately. And it aligned that with chemistry learning outcome number 1, which is explain fundamental concepts of atomic and molecular structure, chemical energetics, and the nature of matter using appropriate scientific terminology and model. And the bot gave that an alignment, it justified it. And we always asked it for justifications when it aligned, and it said, Both models agree, because remember, we're using the Claude and ChatGPT. Both models agree that students must master chemical terminology and use appropriate scientific language in research. And so both of these elements do refer to specific vocabulary, but the bot was focusing on that chemistry terminology instead of the skill of using controlled vocabulary in like a library catalog search. And so we were really going to try to minimize these types of alignments happening in this new frame aligner bot. And again, for those reading and writing and research assignments, we really wanted to kind of account for those as they appeared in various syllabi, as opposed to kind of us assuming that they had a writing assignment as they had traditionally, and just sort of accounting for that in real time and with real syllabi rather than mathematically. And so back we went to BoodleBox. It was time to look back at the bot builder bot and actually build a new bot. So the frame aligner bot, we're going to, as again, just sort of as Lori showed you earlier, use the bot aligner bot, the bot builder bot, to come up with some ideas of the instructions that we are going to use. My initial concept actually was to just have the bot identify the 2 frames that it thought aligned best with that particular class. And then I iterated on it, because that's what happens. We start with a good beginning point, and then I just kept going, lots of copying and pasting. And so the final product really differed from that starting point. In the end, I actually asked it to create a report of all 6 frames instead of just the 2. And the frame aligners bot instructions specifically excluded certain content areas. And you can see on this slide, I know it's a little bit small, the things I asked it not to include. Please don't align with things like laboratory procedures or statistical methods or calculus, computational techniques, that kind of thing. So to actually not align with those if it saw those as part of its learning objective. And it also specifically asks about a writing assignment or research assignment. So one of the prompts the bot gives you after you put your learning outcomes in is there a research or writing assignment, and asks you to copy and paste that actual assignment in. And then that frame aligner actually treats that assignment as an additional learning outcome, and that naturally boosted the alignment totals for that class. And so we're able to incorporate it that way instead of mathematically. So we're going to continue to refine this. It has not gone through the same level of testing that our original curriculum mapping bot went through, but here's just a quick sample of how the frame aligner has been working. We tested it with EN 101. We actually got a brand new syllabus for this class, which was great, so we could look at it. And it revealed actually over 30 alignments, where if you look down the introductory physics, which we looked at, actually only showed 1 alignment across all the learning objectives and the framework. And so this is a pattern that we're looking for. And the other thing I really appreciated when I ran it, I was like, oh, it's working, is that assignment, that research assignment accounted for 15 of the alignments. And so it really does make a huge difference when they're able to put the assignment in and let that bot do its thing with an actual assignment. So it's functioning so far as we intended. Slide, please. Thank you, Jen. So here's a side-by-side comparison of just how different the bots are in generating outcomes. The curriculum mapping bot outcomes, which you've seen already, on the right and on the left, and on the right, the frame aligner, where you see there's so much more white space, and you'll see it in those science, those math classes. And it's not a flaw. That's just really exactly what we wanted it to do. We wanted the bot to focus on meaningful connections, kind of eliminate all the noise of those terms. And our frame aligner bot gives us a much clearer picture of where the information literacy kind of lives in our curriculum, and helps us really target our efforts, like Jen said, where they're going to make the biggest difference. And with that, I will pass back to Lauren.
Next slide, Jen. So what's next? Obviously, here comes the really human part of this, though not that we haven't been at every step of this, but we have to, now we have to really take a deep dive into the bot results to start creating our instruction priorities and crafting the learning outcomes that we believe we should be using for assignments within these different contexts, whether that's an in-person class or maybe it's a digital learning object. It's really going to depend on what the course is and how strong the alignment is. Outreach to course directors, of course. At West Point, those change pretty frequently. We are a military institution. Half of our faculty rotates out pretty much every year, so course directors change, but we have good relationships with department heads and other folks, and we tend to when we meet with people and show up and show them what we're trying to do, they tend to be quite enthusiastic about it. We'll create and refine lesson plans and learning objects based on all of this. And one of our longer term initiatives is thinking about how, we're only so many people. We're not going to get new positions that grow on trees. Where do we strategically need to be in person, and where can we build a digital curriculum and work to get that implemented, across the academy? It's a big goal, but we've been making baby steps toward all of this. So those are some of our big picture plans. We know this was a lot. We know we talk fast. We know there were some complicated concepts. We did create the LibGuide with our framework and the bot links and all of these things. We'll add our slides. Please reach out if you have questions beyond the few minutes we have left for Q&A. Don't hesitate. But with that, last slide. This is the view from our library's terrace overlooking the Hudson River, and those are cadets. So we have a very unique context, and we're appreciative of this. We knew we were going to get that question. Did this save you time? Do you guys want me to take it? What I will say is I cannot quantify the number of hours they spent doing all of this. Only they can. We gave them license. The director and I gave them license to go forth. I think it really depends on, our colleagues at the Naval Academy, for example. They presented at ACRL about curriculum mapping. That's been an ongoing initiative of theirs for years. They've done all these different steps. They've gotten together, they've had these committees. So how many hundreds of hours have they spent doing that? They spent, again, I don't know how many hours, but I don't know that it saved time. I think it taught us a lot of different things, and it's hard to know if it'll ever have been fewer hours than the other process, though now that we have done this, it will save us a ton of time in thinking about where we want to go next. I don't know if that answers the question.
Great, and like you said, I think we have about 3 more minutes, so we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Feel free to raise your hand or to type the question in the chat. If you want to save the chat, just remember that you can click the button in your chat to save it, if there's anything you want to take with you as well.
And if we don't get a question right this second, I will also say, the curriculum mapping initiative, that was our project. And so we wanted to see if there was a path for this to save us some time. For the AI literacy framework, I can tell you, creating that as humans in a committee would have taken probably an entire academic year of meetings. And it took us a couple of meetings. Honestly, it was super fast. The mapping part is a different thing, but we are using this AI expertise that we're gaining and giving faculty workshops on Gen AI. We're creating bots for the AI task force, which I am now a member of. Our director was a member of it. So we're gaining dividends, even if it didn't save us time on the curriculum mapping part.
So I had one follow-up question. The BoodleBox, is something that specifically you used, and it seems like one of the benefits was you were able to tie two bots together, correct? And you chose to use, it sounds like, 2 specific ones, right? ChatGPT and then also Claude. Were there because of the quality of those 2 compared to the other ones you found, or was that just?
I can take that if unless Erin, the reason we went with those 2 was because they had at the time the largest context windows. We had massive files. And actually that's where the bot builder bot can really help you. You can ask it which bot should we use when building this bot. But we went with both of those because of the large context window. And also Claude is just really good at wordsmithing. I find it's very, very good with language and big, long documents.
Great, thank you. And then just to kind of conclude here, there was a question about the LibGuide, which looks like it is also linked within the website you provided as well, which is on the main screen right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, we'd like to flesh it out more. For now, we just thought we referenced a lot of different things, our bot links, these other. Even if you have a free BoodleBox account, you can do up to 5 pro interactions a day. So you could interact with one of our bots for 5 prompts, or how, I don't know exactly how they count it, but you can interact with it with a free account up to a point. And we're happy to help anybody who's interested in this and reaching out. I will say again, we are not being paid by Boodle. They don't even know this is happening. But they are quite affordable too if you buy your own pro license. We have licenses from the Academy right now for another trial run after the Institute ended, but I was going to buy my own if we didn't, because it's just a great tool. Melinda, we are extremely overwhelmed too. Thank you for
Yeah, and just to iterate Melinda's comment, thank you so much for the panel for talking about this incredible project. And with this, if you again want to reference this afterwards, all the presentations will be saved and posted on YouTube. So take a look at that. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you for bearing with us with our tech difficulties. We do know things about technology, we promise.
All right, thanks. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.